Let's start the recording. Just remember. Yeah. So as a recap, welcome. It's June 21st, 2024, Friday night, book writing, artifact creation and stuff with Sue and Denise and Ken. We were just talking about work we're doing with Joy, and I was catching Denise up. So the work we did in the last 24 hours on that was to provide a little AI supported research, which ended up becoming the entire structure and content of a confident communications course that I'm already offering to my faculty members at the school and suggesting that they offer that to their 1,000 students who could self-assess what kind of a nervous speaker are they. And so here's the background on it. So Joy has put together a nice final draft questionnaire to solicit interest in the 30 different topics that she's competent, expert at in helping people with confident communications. So we're putting that into final form. And she also gave me a list of the 30 topics. And then the questionnaire was to say, do you have these kinds of feelings, or do you have this kind of experience? And if so, I can help you. But if you answer this questionnaire, then I can use that to focus my effort and tailor a product for teaching that's suited directly to you. And it came up in conversation that the CFF course at Miracy, her coach there was asking her to do some more research. And I was of the opinion that she probably doesn't need to do that research as much as she needs to get her what was it, the lead magnet and the first working workshop, on paper, on the net, and ready to go. Let's go. And my reasoning behind that is this, that if you start with something that is the number one fear of most Westerners in the world, which is public speaking, then I can guarantee you that there is a market for people that want to overcome that. Like, you don't have to wonder.
Right. That's why.
Yeah,
That's
you don't have to wonder if are people genuinely afraid of public speaking. There's only death, taxes, and fear of public speaking in a professional setting.
Yeah, and so she does not need to go do any more one-on-one conversations to find out, to make a statement. So yeah.
So I started with that premise, and I said, rather than spending a lot of time going out and doing a survey of actual people, I bet I could write a prompt to the AI to say, well, the following. I said, describe 3 different personality profiles, separate and distinct, that would be ideal clients for someone who offers a course in confident communication. What could those 3 different profiles look like? And what are the unique concerns that each of those separate profiles might have? And so if I'm gonna give you an executive summary of how that went, by showing you the trail of prompts.
Yeah, I read the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to me. I mean, to me, I thought it was pretty cool. Let me see,
and I actually agreed with it at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave good advice on the strategy too. So it's not just finding ideas out there. It's actually reasoning. Can you guys see that okay?
No.
Too much.
It's real small.
Hang on.
That's a little bit too big, I think.
Yeah. I get a little happy on my yeah.
Good.
Is that good, Richard? Yeah, I think that should be okay. Okay, so this was actually the write-up that I used to send it around to all my faculty members. This is what I did this morning. This was my win.
The email we got today.
Yeah. So what I learned, Sue, was when I'm working with the chat, because it has a memory, that I always start the prompt off with what the title is, because it always has over on the side the list of my last 100 chats, and it's only about a half an inch wide. So I could never tell which one I wanted to go back and continue.
Right.
So I learned that by putting it in brackets, it would
Okay.
allow me to just find that faster. So the topic was essentially using AI analysis and writing partner to address one of the great fears and anxieties, which is public speaking. The applicability of this project. So I have to put this in so that I can persuade my old, lazy, fat, and tired faculty peers, they're just like me, to continue to read. So this is the applicability of this project is for Army Command and General Staff students who are concerned about their communication skills as organizational leaders, because they are now going to find themselves briefing senior leaders or standing in front of large formations of hundreds and hundreds of people and now communicating, whereas the first 10 years of their career, they were probably only briefing their direct supervisor and very small groups. So that's who is going to benefit from this public speaking course. The second one is for my new faculty members who have been hired for their technical excellence, but they're learning new skills in public to be facilitators in a grad school. At the same time, they have to master a wide array of logistics material that they may not be expert in, but they have to teach. So they got to learn how to teach, but in a facilitative way, which is different than what they grew up with in their educational career and in their Army experience. So they're trying to learn how to speak in public in new ways, and that's going to generate fear and anxiety about how to do that when they're a retired officer and they got these young kids in uniform and they're not used to this at all. So they actually have a large challenge. And then in general, I also wrote it so that if some of my faculty members and the readers of it are interested in how to partner AI with themselves as a faculty member in order to develop curriculum. And my writing partner on this is Claude 3 Opus, which is their largest model. And it's brokered by Koala Chat, which actually takes my prompt. It goes to Koala Chat, and then it sends it to Claude 3 to do all the research and writing. Then that comes back into Koala Chat, which adds current events and rewrites it beautifully with search engine optimization and persuasive style with tone. And then that gives me the feedback that I need. So then I told them, look, in the attached file, it's about a 25-page document. We're not going to read all of it. But the format of that document is that my prompts to Claude 3 are bold, highlighted, italics. And for some reason, I couldn't highlight it in this document, but it's highlighted. And then Claude 3's responses are ordinary text. And then I added some bolding formatting in order to do that. Well, this series of 11 prompts was not a planned, structured approach, but it actually emerged from the feedback that I was getting as part of the effort. So the first prompt was to say, was to tell the AI, look, I'm working on this project with you to create a course on confident communications for my professional officers.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can we go back a sec?
Yep.
So all these 11 prompt, you said this is a prompt summary.
Yeah.
But did you do this ahead of time, or
Nope.
did you extract this along the way and now you just put it in here for us?
I wrote the prompt out, so it's longer than just these one sentences. So I wrote the prompt the way I normally write it. And then after I followed this trail and I came up and I stopped when I was satisfied with what I had about 25 pages of call and response. And so in order to persuade my faculty to read it, I just said, look, maybe they just want the executive summary. This is the logic chain that I followed in order to go from the start all the way to the final piece. And
So
Denise, you
You
these
have
are-
came
questions?
back and did this after the fact.
Yep, correct.
So these are not the actual prompts that
Not yet.
you wrote to Claude. These are the summary of
Of the
what those
prompts.
prompts were.
Yeah,
Got it.
because it turns out that I
Yeah.
get better results when I use about a paragraph
Right.
per prompt.
You
Right.
mentioned that.
Yeah, because yeah. So
How many of these did you already have the idea for before you started?
Wow.
one. This started when this jumped into my mind with prompt number 1. Actually, it was prompt number 2. Prompt number 2, I thought that it could tell me what her research of actual humans was going to find. That if you talk to 50 people, it was probably going to fall into at least 3 different prototypical clients, and each one of which needs a different sort of education and handholding. So I started with, I said, well, that's what I'm going to ask for. But in order to ask for that correctly, I then said, let me go back and first write number 1 to announce what it was that I wanted to do. So it had a large umbrella to capture. So I've already learned how to do that. But so the first one that jumped into my mind was that I bet you it would summarize 3 prototypical ideal clients, which is the same thing that we would do if we were doing research and had a questionnaire and integrated them all and then did thematic analysis and tried to figure out what was going on. We'd end up saying, oh, there's probably at least. So I just start with that and just jump over the live research. And then I said, well, if I've got 3 different prototype clients, I bet you I need to give them a specialized communication strategy that is aligned with their particular needs and their particular characteristics. And so I said, based on the 3 different profiles that you gave me, come up with a separate strategy. And it did. And it was sensible. I said, well, hey, what do you think? Should I write one combined course for all 3, or should I plan on running 3 separate courses? And it said, probably a combined course, but with a lesson for each one of them, which you could then split out and go deeper if you had to. And I said, that actually made a lot of sense because I bet that any person probably has some amount of each one of those characteristics.
Yeah, I looked at those. There's a lot of crossover, you know.
Yeah, so there's people that fall into category A and B and C, but me, I probably have a little bit of this and a lot of that and a little bit of that. So an integrated course that addresses all 3 of those would actually be helpful for me. And then as soon as I thought of that, I said, all right, let's start with a integrated top level learning program. So give me the program learning outcomes of that combined course that would teach all 3 of those specialties, and then just give me a draft syllabus and the logical lesson flow. So it did. And then I said, well, now that I have that, why don't you design me a nice questionnaire and a self-assessment instrument that would tell me on some kind of index scale for each one of those, how high am I on this one? I'm right here, and then I'm high on this one, and then on this other one, I'm medium. So based on my profile of those 3 different characteristic types, I could then say, well, this is my priority, and then I should do these 5 things to improve that area. And then on these, I'm not as anxiety here, so maybe I just need to do those things, and on this one, I need to do those things. And from that, if this was my priority 1 and then priority 2 and priority 3, from that, I could turn that into a personalized course. So item 6 was really very cool. I said, give me the questions and a Likert scale and a way to make an assessment instrument and then score it with a rubric so that I could tell based on how they answered how to proceed with a tailored course. So it did that in about a minute. And then I said, for each of and it came up with 5 questions that were representative of each one of those profiles. Like this was the introverted expert. And then this one was, I don't know, some other thing. It had a name for it. This one was a reluctant leader. They were not used to stepping up into the light. This one, the introverted expert, had trouble speaking in public and that kind of stuff. And then the other one was something else. So it turns out that it asked 5 representative questions, and then how you scored on that told you how far up the scale of anxiety you were. And then it gave a strategy for each one of those things that it measured. It said, well, if you were worried about this one, number 1, here's the strategy that you could do for number 1. And when I asked for the strategy, I said, I wanted you to give me 3 things. Give me some cognitive information. Give me some emotional information, and then give me a practical application. So I have like, head, heart, and hands, thinking, feeling, and doing, the tripartite brain or whatever. So it came up essentially, because there were 15 questions, it came up with 15 strategies, and each strategy had 3 parts. So there's 45 chunks already prepared to go. Then I said, well, they might be daunted by the fact that there's up to 45 different things to do. How about giving me a success script that was personalized, that had visualizations and power phrases to put me in the right frame of mind in order to be a really good student and to give me courage and energy to go through this. So it did, almost like a hypnotic script or a emotional support speech. And then I said, give me 5 spirit animals, 1 for each one of these measured areas, that would help to visualize and personalize and embody the kind of support that we can call on. Give me the courage of a lion when facing this challenge, or give me the wisdom of an owl, that kind of stuff. So it came up with spirit animals that would support the visualizations, which I'm going to turn into a card deck with a nice illustration and a short, motivational speech and all that. And then on number 10 and 11, I said, why don't you give me the distilled wisdom of other learners and teachers to help me prepare myself mentally? So if the visualization was verbal and visual, then this would be the text, the sound that would be my mentor helping me get ready for this learning journey. And then number 11 was to say, look, I just want to acknowledge emotionally that what you're doing, proposing to learn a new skill about public speaking and doing that in public in a home study course with a coach and all that, that's really courageous, this act of learning in public. And this little speech here actually has a broad set. In fact, 10 and 11 gives us a broad philosophical approach to the act of learning and teaching in public that goes not just towards confident communication, but to anything, whether it's sports or gymnastics or trading or whatever. And it turned out to be a really nice kind of faculty philosophy to share with students. And I'm going to adapt a lot of it for use with my military students. So that took about an hour to actually write the prompts and to get the feedback and then keep proceeding down to the next logical thing. And it took about 60 minutes to generate it. It took about another 60 minutes to save it and put it into a Word document and add the page breaks and add the bold and highlights. And it took about 30 minutes to write the executive summary of the prompts and to draw the conclusions and to put that into an email to send out. So the total project time was really probably about 3 hours. And then to actually, then to send the email out. And I was really pleased with the fact that the actual effort to go through this felt very natural and easy, because it's about the 10th or 11th time that I've done this iterated approach. And I actually think, numbers 10 and 11, even to a certain extent, 9, actually has a wider applicability to anybody learning new material, not just how to communicate in public. So this was an example of, this was prompt number 1, setting the context of the project, where I said, look, what I want to do is teach a self-help or self-development course dealing with overcoming fear of public speaking, developing more confidence in my authentic communication skills. So I'm starting to try to use those key power words to start priming the pump for the tone and the context.
Yeah, and before you did this, when you started on this one, did you, because I know that you were doing this for Joy, right?
Yep.
Or were you putting this in under, because we can upload our own profiles of ourselves and our background, and it, like it could have had Joy could have put in all her expertise and all this stuff.
Yep.
So it would know that that's the background and that's everything that they've got, and this is their tone and all that. Did you do any of that? Or
no, not really. All I said was that I had expertise. I just said, hey, I've got expertise in that area, but I didn't even specify. So what this one does really is it sets the scope and the purpose and the audience. But I did not put my expertise in there. I did not put specific expertise. I was asking it basically to go out into the world of expertise.
Right, and find everything that's out there.
So what I would do what I'd suggest on Joy and for you and Denise is if you add that context in here, said like on Joy's list of her 30 skills.
Yeah.
Like you could easily take the output and the structure of this thing and say, hey, now I have these pieces of expertise. Show me how that could fit into that structured course, which had, profile 1, profile 2, and profile 3. Like I'm going to have sort of like an intro to public speaking, and here's generally how we're going to do it. And here's the little encouragement I want to give you as a learner. And then there's going to be a lesson on each one of those. Well, if we plug Joy's expertise in there, that AI could actually help, or she could decide how to add her expertise in here. The other way to do that too is just to say, hey, this intro course is good enough. And maybe that's just the 101, confident communication 101. And then Joy has now here's 202 through 402. This is her 30 areas of expertise. And as much or as little as she wants to make each one of those a chunk or a lesson, she could make that a thing. And then that could also lead then, now if you want to do the one-on-one or small group coaching, that's the next layer. So what we really have done here is use the AI to help draft out a really nicely structured approach complete with lesson plans and content, and an assessment instrument, which can be used to say, look, here's a 15 question questionnaire that's going to help you. We can say, look, our research suggests that most people fall into one or more of these categories of typical professionals who are not satisfied or not comfortable with public speaking. Here's a little instrument, and you can actually find out where you fit on each one of those scales. And then we have an introductory course that will let you start addressing that immediately. And then if you're interested, we can help you refine that to the next level with Joy's beautifully constructed areas of competence. And then if you want to work personally with her one-on-one or in small groups, that could lead you to the coaching. So now there's an entire funnel and course delivery structure. There's a catalog of 3 courses. And this one,
Right, she could use that intro
yeah,
because again, this is just a short mini course that
Yeah.
they're trying to get us to do now, a webinar, a workshop.
Yeah.
If they're really doing it this way, which HCU has built out a whole course. Now it's the mini course, which can be a 90-minute webinar.
yeah. So
But
what I'm going to ask her to do, so there's the 3 personality profiles that we discovered, and there's 5 measured areas in each one of them. And then we asked the AI to come up with the cognitive information, emotional information, and hands-on application for each one of those 5. So what I would do for her, what I'd say she do is she could do a 30-minute workshop just on those. Pick one of the 15 and teach that in a free session and say, if you end up doing I'm going to teach you these 2 things in person and on Zoom. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, do the application exercise, the practical application, and then come back to the next section and tell me how you did and what your experience is. And then you're going to learn what it's like to be coached by me. So that would be a follow-up session. And now what she has is her lead magnet is the free courses on the cognitive information, the emotional information, the practical application, and say, look, I've got 14 more of these in my introductory course, which I'll give you for $197 or $497 or something like that. A full 15 chunks. That's what I would charge for that. And she could use the instrument as her lead magnet. Her workshop could be the first lesson with those 3 chunks, with a follow-up for people that were interested for free coaching. And then that would lead to all these other things. Yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Yeah. So am I correct in that you're just showing us on your screen and talking about what's in the Joy whatever PDF or docx file that you have posted? Okay,
Yeah, because what this is, this was the actual prompt number 1 of 11.
Right. Yeah, this was the prompt version of what was number 1 in the list above.
Yeah, this one said because essentially,
right.
Yeah, help me understand their psychological and emotional needs of my ideal clients and what kinds of confidence, action-oriented messaging I can use to attract them to my services in an ethical manner. Is that clear, or do you need some clarifying questions? It said, no, that was clear enough.
Yeah, right.
So it gave me some very nice tips that apply to all of those 3 different personality profiles. How are we doing, Marianne? I want to say hi. And then this was the one I said, now build this out. And this is what it gave me.
Okay.
It described a anxious perfectionist, an introverted expert, and it told me this is the personality summary These are the feelings that they feel. And then these are insights that would help you connect to them. So it
Okay.
did that for the anxious perfectionist, the introverted
For
expert.
each one of them.
Yep, the introverted expert and the reluctant leader.
Yeah. And
And-
I apologize, but I just had a family call that I'm
Ah,
gonna have to call
okay.
back.
Okay.
So
I'm just gonna scan through this real quick for Sue
Yeah,
and
keep,
for Marianne, and it's on the
Excellent.
recording. So yeah, you're on it. The
thank
rest
you
of it,
much.
the rest of it just then went to the second and third level of detail for
Yeah.
building out a standard
Yeah.
undergrad or early graduate level course.
Yep. Thanks a million.
Yep.
See you later.
It then told me that for those clients, then I should use those messages on those themes. I'm going to empower professionals on how to share their expertise, turning fear into opportunities for growth, building authentic connections. And I would be using the effective communication with them that the course proposes to teach. So they can actually see that live. And then it's going to help them develop practical skills and techniques for managing anxiety and so forth. Well, that was cool. So I then said, give me the personalized strategic strategy for each one of those three profiles. Because now what I could do is if I ended up getting 100 people and I could find the ones that were really strongly anxious perfectionists, and that's the thing, the other two, maybe they didn't have, but if there was someone who was really, really triggered hard on this, I could just say, look, for you guys, here's the 5 bullets that we're going to learn in a course tailored just for you or for, right? And that makes, when I went through that, psychologically, that made sense. And the introverted expert is trying to overcome their own reluctance to be seen in public. So we got to talk to their unique perspective, show them that other successful introverted experts were able to do that and learn to model their behavior, to show that their expertise is really going to help other people and that that's going to encourage them to talk. And then the reluctant leader, this strategy helps them learn why they have a responsibility to speak as a leader. Now that they're a leader, even though they're uncertain about that, they do have an obligation. And then this gave general guidance on how to develop each of those strategic messages, which I thought was really good advice. That, I mean, that's as good as anything Miracy taught me in fewer words. Now I asked it, hey, what do you think about an integrated course that addressed all three? Or is it better to have 3 separate courses that are focused? And it gave me pros and cons to both approaches, which was really sound. And as a curriculum developer, I recognized excellent advice when I see it in that area. It basically said, probably start with an integrated course and then branch out to separate courses as a follow-on. Start with the central idea. And then I said, this is where the key insight occurred. I said, when I got this far, I said, look, there's these 3 profiles, A, B, and C. And I probably have a little bit of A, a little bit of B, and a little bit of C. So I said, give me the questions. I want you to identify 5 to 10 high payoff, achievable learning program outcomes that would affect all of them. And it gave me 8, which is manageable. Such that no matter which one of those profiles, you want to understand things like root cause, how to identify your own strengths, etc. So those are the top level program outcomes for that introductory course. And then I said, turn that into a 2 to 4 hour standalone workshop. So it did, with timestamps. So that's what the introductory course looks like. for 2 to 4 hours. It balances instruction, discussion, and practical application, gives them a solid foundation, and points the way to what they're going to get if they go deeper. So this is where I said, now I want to go deeper. Now give me a assessment questionnaire with a Likert scale for each of the 3 personality profiles with 5 questions, but not more than 10, so it's manageable. Construct the scoring matrix that would assign a strength or priority to each of the aggregated scores so that a coach could develop some initial planning guidance going forward for a personalized course. Is that clear enough, or did it need clarifying questions? It said, no, that was clear enough. So off we went. And then a minute later, it had come up with these 5 questions for each one of the profiles. So anxious perfectionists often worry about making mistakes when speaking in public. So you would have some little scoring mechanism from 1 to 7. How many points? And then each one of these would, you'd score 1 to 7. The introverted expert has slightly different concerns. They'd rather write than speak. They'd rather do one-on-one rather than large groups. They're worried that other people will misunderstand them or going to judge them. And they have a hard time asserting themselves in group discussions. And they avoid public speaking opportunities. Well, that's a perfect description of an introverted expert. If I scored a 7 on all of those, then I would be a raging anxiety, and that would be obviously my dominant profile. The reluctant leader, the same thing. So it then scored, it showed how to score for each profile. Were you low or, moderate or high? And then how to interpret it. If you were in the high priority, then the coach should focus on those specific challenges. If they were moderate in one or more, they should incorporate more broadly. If they were low, then you could focus on general communication and confidence boosting. Like you didn't have to do any first aid for them. Well, that was pretty cool. Now, what that gives you then, that assessment instrument would look like this inside our little project. So if I had my lead magnet and I taught them the little class on one of the 15 that had some cognitive, emotional intelligence and a practical application with a small amount of coaching, that would show them, look, I've got a course where you're going to get 15 of those chunks. So take the questionnaire and then determine which one of those profiles you actually fall in. And then you could either take the introductory course, or I'll build you a specialized course, or you could take the introductory and then go specialize, or you could take all of them. And then you could do even more coaching with me on my 30 skill areas, which is, so this whole thing here is nothing more than the home study course, which I would call 101 and 202.
Did
This
you
one-
ask it to create your lead magnet?
I think the lead magnet is the questionnaire
Okay, yeah.
and her list of 30. She has another lead magnet, which is her list of 30 proficiencies. Why? Because some people aren't scared. Some people want to just go right to the advanced topics. So do a lead magnet on that for the 202 course. And then do a lead magnet, which is the questionnaire, which gives you a profile and lets them experience some good introductory material.
Right.
So there's a whole family of products here to roll out. So then I said, now, if I've got those 15 areas of where there were fears to overcome, this is where I said, now, for each of those 5 self-assessed areas of interest, for each of the 3 profiles, develop a strategy to make a specific improvement in each measured area with cognitive information, emotional information, and a strategy for an applied exercise. And I said, is that clear enough or do you need more? I said, no, it's understood. So it took the first one, for example, the first thing the anxious perfectionist was worried about was making mistakes about speaking in public. All right, give me something for my head that's cognitive. So just reframe the mistakes as opportunities for growth. And remember that the audience is forgiving and more interested in content than perfect delivery. Okay. Well, what about some emotional content? Well, practice some self-compassion and acceptance. Celebrate the courage that it takes to speak, regardless of. So that's clearly emotional. And this is clearly cognitive. Here's the practical exercise. Participate in a low-stakes public speaking opportunities like Toastmasters or in front of friends to desensitize yourself to the fear. So this is where on her 30-minute workshop, she would say, now look at, guys, I've taught you about this, and we talked about it. I taught you about that, and I gave you an example of it. Now, if you're willing, I want you to go do this today or tomorrow and come back tomorrow and we'll talk about it and we'll talk about and debrief your experience and I'll give you some coaching on the practical experience. That's the bonus that you get, is a free coaching session with me if you go out and do that work. So that's just one lesson for the first content area for one of the 3. So there's 14 more of those. And that's why I say that's your 101 course. That's about a 6-hour course to cover those 15 chunks. I would do that over probably 3 weeks in order to give them enough time to do the practical applications and to come in. And it's probably better done in 10 weeks, to be honest, if you wanted to do the full up. But if you wanted to just do, hey, I'm just the anxious perfectionist, good. We can work on that in 1 month because it's 5 content areas. We could do that in 4 weeks. We would do 2 a week with a final exam and a discussion. So that's how I would structure that. And it went through and basically did that for the introverted expert, cognitive, emotion, and for each one of the 5
And
areas.
at this point, you're in your 202.
Oh yeah, 202 for sure.
Okay.
And then the reluctant leader and all that stuff. Now I said, this is where I started thinking about, holy mackerel, I could see already that I got 15 lessons, and that's a long haul. That's a lot of work to do. So I said, let me get to the emotional level and give me a set of personalized, focused visualizations with a summary power phrase to help visualize and get in the right emotional state. So this is now remember, there were like 5 measured areas of challenge for the anxious perfectionist. So on the first one, look, we're just going to embrace our imperfection and visualize yourself speaking confidently, making minor mistakes, but continuing with grace and poise. And remember that your power phrase here is, I am perfectly imperfect. I'm just me. And then what I would do is I would say, hey, you come up with your own personalized power phrase that means the same thing as this. Put it in your words that you can own. That would be the practical application. And so there's 5 visualizations and power phrases, one for each of the measured areas. And then I said, all right, now give me some people like to visualize and anthropomorphize, and the work that I've been doing with the shamans and Vision Quest is spirit animals speak to me a lot. That's a really powerful tool. And I said, all right, now help me identify 5 spirit animals for each of those 3 characters. And I want that spirit animal to embody the kind of fortitude, positive spirit, and strength that'll help us to focus on what needs to be done in the real world. And so it did. The perfectionist needs the butterfly. Relax, it'll be okay. It represents transformation, adaptability, and the ability to embrace change. Like the butterfly has to respond to the wind. Like the butterfly doesn't make the wind. It can't fight against the wind. So it has to work with the wind. It has a plan, but it really has to accommodate whatever the wind wants. And its final path is going to be a negotiation between it and the wind. So just relax and be a butterfly. That's a natural part. Change is a natural part of growth and development. Well, it turns out when I go fact check this, when I go look at the Lakota Sioux animal medicine, it turns out that those are actually the traditional qualities of the butterfly power animal. And it's true for all of these. It's tapped into that literature. Like the anxious perfectionist, hey, you're anxious, but remember the turtle, patience, perseverance, the ability to stay grounded, all of that. The turtle reminds us to take a steady and measured approach. So I would do a lesson on this to say, which of those resonate with you? And give me an example from your life when you were able to use those qualities to have success in your life. Or pick a moment in your life that you're not happy with, that if you could personify those qualities, that you see how that could have gone differently in order to reframe and restory. That comes out of the world of true storytelling, is rewriting our stories to create new meanings and new realities. So the introverted expert gets the owl, wolf, elephant, dolphin, and bear. The reluctant leader gets lion, eagle, horse, salmon, and gorilla. Then I proceed to this.
Did you upload all this yet?
Yeah. This whole document is in the document folder.
Okay, I didn't get all of this, so I have to go back.
Well, yeah, I uploaded it maybe an hour before our meeting because I finished all the header data and doing the formatting. So this one is the prompt that I use to generate some wise advice from a trusted teacher and a fellow student, so that I'm asking for reverent spiritual advice in the form of recommendations, comfort, anticipations, remembrances, inherited legacies of other seekers who want to share their wisdom of life as a searcher, learner, teacher. So I'm really plugging in the power words for context to help it find the right tone to provide this kind of mentor advice. And it comes up with some beautiful language. As you are a student developing your skills and knowledge, remember also to cultivate the qualities of a good teacher so you can pay that forward. Being patient, compassionate, and empathetic. Remembering that everyone is on their own unique journey. So this turns out to be not just good for this course, but I'm going to be incorporating this in all of my my educational ventures, because I really like the way this kind of advice helps my students and my fellow teachers. because I'm going to share, and I've shared this with my other faculty members at the military college to say, hey, when you are entering that classroom for the first time as a teacher, I remember that you were not a teacher when you were in the Army. You were just kind of a leader or a technical expert. What is it that I want them to think about as being a teacher? So this is what a teacher, this is a prompt that actually helps teachers develop their own teaching philosophy too. And then this one is some psychic energy to the learner, which says, look, it's really important that we acknowledge the courage that it takes to be a good learner, because what you're learning is going to help us with the rest of the team, that what you're learning is going to contribute to the team, and you're being courageous in learning, but then that's actually going to help us all learn from your insights. And then I think, yeah, and that was sort of the final one. So it was this little piece of advice that says, look, you're taking this course on public speaking and communication, but realize that this is going to be leverage to all the other things that you're also going to teach. Now that you know how to do this with confidence and authenticity and energy, it's going to help you with all the other things that you teach. And so this is a really powerful set of tools. So guess who needs to have this course? Everybody that's a leader for the first time, so they know how to do this as a leader, but also a senior leader who's going to try to develop his junior leaders. So if the senior leader knows what kind of stuff they're going through, so hey, it turns out that this guy might actually want to enroll all his junior leaders in Joy's course, especially when he knows that Joy can tailor it from the 3 different profiles, A, B, and C, that we can do a mix of those and tailor it exactly to the students that you're giving me, because we're going to do that assessment instrument and then use that to generate the specific month-long course that will really meet them where they are. And then the next thing that Joy says was, look, after they've gotten through that introductory period, now I can give them my 30 areas of subject matter expertise, which she has already listed out for us. And they can grow from here to get the basics in the boot camp in a month. And then they can go through a 3-month course where we pick 5 or 10 of those techniques to really build out a graduate level approach. And then I'm willing to be on a retainer to give them one-on-one personalized coaching to help them with their own individual pathway, which I will do on a retainer fee. So now what we have is a roadmap that allows you to go from the lead magnet, which is the questionnaire, to a sample lesson, which is just one of those measured areas that gives them some cognitive, emotional, and practical information with some coaching if they come back for the second session. And then that just shows, hey, that's what you can get. You can get 14 more of those in the 101 course, which is going to give you the introduction to this stuff. And then I can go deeper on these courses that are tailored to just one of those categories. And that's where you go deeper. And then if you want even more, I can give you the graduate level and leading to the coach. So now you have a nice program. And for Joyce, I just see Joy join us. For Joy's purpose, the insight that we had earlier today was that, look, you don't actually have to go out and do a lot of research to find out if there's anybody feels nervous about speaking in public. That's the number one fear in life. So, and the AI found 15 different manifestations of it, grouped them into 3 personality profiles, developed a strategic approach to teach it, to communicate it, to follow up with it, to assess it, to coach it, and then wrote the supporting emotional and spiritual support for the teacher and the student in order to proceed through that challenging set of adventures, which are really important because we want to serve others, and we cannot let our gift shine if we are letting our own anxiety about public speaking get in the way. So this is the key that's going to unlock 20 different doors in the future. No matter what you do, this is a core competency that you need to have. And the good news is that we know how to do it. We have an extensive track record of success. You're in the hands of an expert who understands, because I've been there. I was an introverted expert, and I had to discover how to do this on my own, like get all of the collected public lectures and short stories of Mark Twain, which is 600 pages, and read them all into a tape recorder so I could listen to the sound of my voice and learn how to speak in the Mark Twain cadences that made him such a powerful public speaker. And that was a learned skill that I just blundered into on my own to help me overcome. Well, there's a bunch of different ways, and you know them, but this is how you get started. So this is why I said last night, without even knowing that this was going to happen, that I think you should be in the production mode and start making things and not get caught up in the analysis paralysis of doing more research.
And that's what I was saying, the same thing too. And I was going to say, Joey, I read everything that he sent out. So yeah, this is not some topic that you've got to go find out if people want. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. And the coach should have known that. This is a proven thing. It's the same thing. I do stuff that's proven out there. It's not like we're coming up with stuff on our own. I mean, we're taking topics that do that. Ken, I just want to ask you one.
Oh, yeah.
Question there at the very end.
Oh, okay. Do you want to reshare that?
Well, no.
Okay.
It was all your scribbles, because
Yeah.
I guess I'd asked that before, was that on that example, you said a lead magnet to the questionnaire, to like a session that had like one topic out of each of those people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would actually.
You said the questionnaire
Yeah.
would be the lead magnet leading to something, because I do have a questionnaire. So that's my first thing.
I think that's what that is, a questionnaire, a person that goes through a questionnaire. Now, maybe I'm not the expert in the Miracy process, right?
Yeah, well, I don't.
Although I've gone through it, but in my view, let's see if let me get.
Because I've got a questionnaire, and it's whether then what to take to them. So go ahead and give them a report, a synopsis of everything. Then then it's a pitch for the course type of thing.
This is how I would do it.
Or a lead magnet to the questionnaire to the course.
I would say here's the 30-minute or 1-hour workshop.
After the questionnaire,
the 101 course has these features. It has some introductory material, and then it has the tailored approaches to the 3 different profiles, right? So to me, the questionnaire is the lead magnet that says, look, you take this questionnaire for free, which I normally charge my business clients to take, because that questionnaire is going to lead to not only the introductory course, but it's going to lead to a tailored course that is specifically designed for that business unit, right? So the 101 course gives you basics plus 5 strategies for each of those profiles. And each strategy had a cognitive, emotional, and a practical application. So there's 15 lessons in there.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I really like that. Ken, I haven't been able to fully digest it, but you must have really asked the question well.
I think I
because
did.
Even in the corporate environment, I would spend time at the beginning of a multi-million-dollar project with hundreds of team members and ask them to visualize the end product.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it was in there that what is success, and the stakeholders, the funders, the people that are expecting this project to be completed properly, what is their vision? Are we all hitting the same target? We're all trying to hit the target, but are we all trying to hit the same target? So that feeling good about the project and being collaborative and working together, that was all in there. I love that spiritual aspect.
So what I
So
thought,
what about your 30-minute
yeah,
workshop? You haven't talked,
here's
that's
what I have.
where I'm
Yeah.
trying to find out from the
Yeah.
questionnaire.
Yeah.
Is that a step in between?
Yeah, this is how I would do that. The questionnaire is a lead magnet that brings you to this is the probably
Right.
10
No,
week
I
course.
get that, but you got this 30-minute
But I also,
workshop,
it
you
also,
haven't
the
said-
way you get them to that course to buy it is that you route them through your 30-minute workshop. I think it's 60 minutes, to be honest, or 50 minutes. 50 minutes is illogical, but I'll accept 30 minutes. So the 30-minute workshop is really, you pick one of those, and I would just pick the first one for the introverted expert. It was like number 1 and there's 5, and it has a cognitive, emotional, and a practical recommendation in there, right? So what I would do is I would take that lesson and give it to them for free here. And so the lead magnet is the questionnaire, which gives them a profile of those. Every single one of them is going to have at least one of those 5 anxieties. I guarantee
So
it.
they're going to get a report out of their questionnaire.
Yeah. And it's going to say, so the questionnaire is going to give you a report that says, here's where you are on those 3 personality profiles. Now, come to this workshop and watch how we take one of those. And I'm going to build that out into a 30-minute class that covers the cognitive, emotional, and then I'm going to give you a practical exercise of how to put that into action. Now, we can't do that inside Zoom because you have to get out of your head and go somewhere to Toastmasters or a family member or your spouse and actually perform that skill. And then when you perform that skill, you get to come to the second session, and I'm going to coach you on how you did and what you learned, and you're going to debrief, and I'm going to make sure that you really feel good about the fact that you were able to overcome that fear and anxiety and actually engage. And so you're going to start off with that success, and then I'm going to coach you into how to turn those feelings into motivation and energy to continue on through all of those lessons if you take the 101 course for $497. So the lead magnet for this pathway, and this is for all the noobs, the lead magnet is the questionnaire and the report, which leads you to the workshop part 1, workshop part 2, and then that's the buying proposition to buy the 101 course. Check or hold?
Okay,
Clear?
let me ask you a question there. If
Okay.
you do like a live call, and
Yeah.
some people do those all the time for free, that leads to their 101, but it depends on the price point of 101, because the 101 is kind of cheap, then they don't get that free call.
Yeah, if you're giving them all 15 of those chunks, that's $497.
Okay.
And you've given them a free one to handle
Right.
their number 1 And what you do is you make sure that you have somebody on that call who scored high anxiety on number one, fear of public speaking, fear of making a mistake in public. You put 30 people
Yeah,
in
I
that
know.
room.
I just think
You know what I mean?
Miracy has a thing that says for under $1,000, don't do a free coaching call.
I don't actually care what they say.
That's why I was just asking. No,
Yeah.
this is fine.
I personally just say, well, okay, you advise whatever you
whatever.
want to do.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna
Ken,
coach you, I'm gonna show you a free coaching session.
I hear
I-
what you're saying, and this is the first time I'm looking at it this way.
Yep.
So let me tell you how I was looking at it, and we'll get
Yep.
all this input. But
Yep.
the questionnaire that I documented in Basecamp was for me.
Right.
to
I'm gonna
interview
show you that
people.
one next.
Well, I mean, that wasn't to mail out, to send out to people. That was for me to interview people
Right.
to find out in a corporate environment, do you talk to your peers? Do you talk to management? Or do you talk to executives like your funders and your stakeholders? So that is what the scope of what I wanted to teach, not speaking on a stage to thousands of people.
Sure. Sure.
I can relook at those questions,
Yeah,
but then
what I'm
was
gonna
going
show
to
you.
invite them to a $97 thing
Yep.
where the upsell would be the $497 with coaching. So
Okay.
that
Well-
was my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's
You know,
how about
what-
this one? Now, I think your questionnaire plus your 30 snapshots of your expertise, I think that's lead magnet number 2, which is going to be geared towards experts. Like right now, I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I am proficient in public speaking. I actually don't need to do those. I want to go fast track to your 202 course, which is your questionnaire and your 30 areas of expertise. And then based on my questionnaire, I'm ready to go to you for a 997 or a 1997 year-long coaching program on the specific chunks of 30 that you and I together in our discussion agree are the highest priorities. So what I'm saying is,
what I'm hearing, Ken. Thank you. I'm loving
Yeah.
it.
so I think you have 2 magnets. Now here's why I say that. The person that you are marketing to as the expert in corporate communications, you know who they are the boss of?
Yep.
The
All
team
those little
members.
people that need 101.
A bunch
They
of
all need
people,
101.
a bunch of people that came out of their worker pool, who have been promoted to first line supervisor. This guy knows how to talk in public. He doesn't have time to give them all of this proficiency. And you can give them a program that's rock solid at $497 that runs itself.
Hmm.
If I'm this
Yeah,
guy,
evergreen product.
if I'm this guy, I'll send you 20 clients for 10 grand a session, and you just run them through that home study material and have office hours once a week for an hour to discuss whatever.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
then if you want, hey, do you want me to coach them personally? Like this guy's your superstar and you want me to coach him? I'll then take his personalized report and go much deeper into his measured areas. And that's going to cost you $19.97 a year or some shit, like whatever it is. So you use this thing that gives you access to all these people that want to do it on their own, and a guy who's going to hire you to teach all the people in his section. Like I'm going to give this course to my 40 fellow instructors for the 1,000 Army officers that they teach next year, starting in August. They're going to get something like that, right?
Hmm.
And so I think you actually have, it's not either or. I think your lead magnet is your personalized questionnaire and your 30 areas of competency. And then that gives you a small group meeting to say, based on the questionnaire and your review of those 30, you told me you were interested in these 5 or 10. Let's talk about a structured approach to coaching that is tailored to you at some kind of premium price point that pays for my, like here's your book of 10 sessions. You use them when you want them. That's $1,000. You get 30 minutes of my time, 10 times at your call, and it's $1,000.
Hmm.
Do you want that, or do you want 2,000? You tell me what half an hour of your time's worth.
Hmm.
You bill it at either nothing less than $100 for half an hour. That's $200 an hour. You should be charging.
Absolutely.
So you give them a little coupon book that says, here's 10 sessions. You got a year to use them. Use them when you want.
Wow.
And price goes up.
Yeah.
As kid does. Yep, price goes up. So
yeah. And then so I
Anyway.
think so, and again, what I think you have is, I think you have 2 lead magnets. You have that standard questionnaire. This is sort of the AI questionnaire that leads you to the 3 profiles, and you just run you teach lesson 1 with a follow-up session 2 for coaching. And I would do that free just so, and I would record that. You know why? Because now you never have to do that again. You make that, you make that a recurring, you make that an artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And then you write a bunch of little blog posts and flood the zone with YouTube shorts for 30 seconds and short thing, and all of them point to a link that broadcasts the before and after in a nice little concise 30-minute workshop. And you say, hey, if you want that, here's 101. It'll cost you $4.97. You use this code, you can have it for $3.97. And you can watch the recorded session of those 15 lessons. You never have to teach that again. You teach it one time to my guys, or I'll teach it to my guys.
Wow.
And
If I
then,
wasn't overwhelmed before, I'm a little overwhelmed now.
so now your lead magnet. I'm going to set this up anyway, because I really like the work it was done, but I want to partner with you on that, because what I'm going to do is give that to all my guys. They're all executives. They're not just traders. They all have professions.
I love it. I love it.
So we'll set that up, and then that's going to generate, that actually is another big fat lead magnet for your 202 course, which is your questionnaire plus your 30 areas of expertise. And then that leads, you do that to make your tailored course that's personalized, or your personalized coaching with them. Or maybe it's a small group. Hey, 4 of us got together and we all have these common interests. We're all at the same location and we want a discounted deal. We want 25% off if 4 of us come. You will say yes to that. And then you give them a small group, and then they can practice coaching themselves and doing the exercises together in their trusted group. You don't even have to listen to that unless you want to. And then they come
offer the one-on-one coaching.
And then the one-on-one is the premium.
Yeah. Yeah. For anybody, like I said, that could just be the boss, or they could say, hey, work with this guy. He's got great potential,
Yeah. So that's your personalized coaching. If this is like 202, this is 404.
Okay.
So I think that's how we set that up. I'm going to set this. I'm going to set that one up on top and figure out how we record each of those little sessions.
Well, I watched the whole demo today that you did with Sue and Denise.
Yeah.
And so I have a better concept of what Rizuku is like, because it's not like the other, Teachable and Udemy and all those others.
Right.
So I was confused, but I see that you've set up a template for me, but I only just did that this afternoon, like even looked that I had a template. So I haven't been able to even go in there and think about it yet, but I'm pretty excited right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the lead on number 1, which is the 101. Because I really want you, because that's all new to you. And I'm going to just set it up. I'm going to position it so that it feeds to your expert course, which we're going to call 202, which is your questionnaire plus your 30 areas of expertise, subject matter expertise. Okay. So you keep working on that. I'm going to build this one out.
Okay.
And as you get this ready, I'm going to say, look, those of you that are my graduates of 101 or of this home study course, you can, you'll get the preferred price on 202. And then what you do is we just make a plan to record those. And I'll get some recordings of you doing your thing, and I'll get those dropped into the 101 course so that everybody that takes 101 sees you in action and they want some of this magic. And then that can lead to your coaching.
I'm loving it.
But then when you have clients that you get on 202 and that they are the senior executive, you also just tell them, look, I've got this other thing that we've automated in a structured, and we offer this in 2 ways. We offer this as pure home study where they get to watch the text and the recorded sessions, and it gives advice on how to perform the practical exercises. And then they can see our recorded coaching sessions, so they can take the home study course, or you can do the hybrid course where they get the home study course, but they want to do live coaching. So you don't ever have to teach that again.
That could just be a 30-minute Q&A every week or an hour.
Exactly.
Q&A.
And the way you do that is just office hours.
Yeah.
And you set that up for 15 weeks of office hours, for 500 or whatever. And they get 30 minutes of time to come in and talk about each one of those lessons. They get to watch one lesson, see the people do it. They try it on themselves. They come in and talk about it in a structured after action review. You give them a little piece of advice, and then that's done. Now you could set that up for 15 weeks, or you could fast track it and do 4 lessons a week or some shit. That's hard. Some people will want to do that, and then they'll pay you the same amount of money to do it in 4 weeks instead of 15. The people who do it for 15 weeks are there to learn, and they will actually become proficient. The 4-week guys, maybe they get it. Maybe they would. Never know. I think I would probably do it in 5 weeks, but.
What I didn't like that I saw on Rizuku is that it looked so text-based, just on what I've seen so far.
Yeah,
and
but
I
it's a page.
To deliver it to an audience and record it so that it could continue to be delivered, but.
Right, here's what it'll
You'll
do.
be doing all the delivery by video.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be reading text.
So it's going to be, well, here's how you can set that up. A lesson in Rizuku is it's just really an HTML, it's a web page that has text on it. But in that, you can drop a movie, and you can have a discussion board where people can talk to each other. And so you can make that a video. You can also do a page where you have a live, like a live Zoom session. You can do that inside Rizuku. It has its own little feature where you can use their video, and it'll record that session, and it'll save it as a video, as a lesson. My preference is for these live sessions, I just do them in Zoom. And then I put that Zoom on my YouTube channel on a private link. And then I take that link and I put it into a Rizuku page. And what I
You
do,
can embed it in that
Yeah.
Rizuku page.
yeah, so what I actually do is when I'm building out a course and I have 15 lessons, I'll have one page that has all the movies of all our sessions, of the live sessions. I do a live session in Zoom. I save it in YouTube, and I make that link on one page to 15 clickable links, which fires up the YouTube video. But I also give them on the bottom of that page the downloadable link. So I also upload it, the video from Zoom that I upload to YouTube. I also upload that video to Rizuku's server
Okay.
so that I have two different sources in the cloud for my video.
And then
then-
they can download it to their own.
Yeah, and then they can
Computer, so
download it
they have it.
themselves. And now if they feel like they want it and have permanent access, I'm happy to do that.
Hmm.
That shows full transparency, and then, they buy it once and they have access for a lifetime. So the Rizuku lesson is nice if you have little short text snippets and you want to record a short video lecture, you can put it right on the same page and then say, now, later on Thursday night, we're going to do a live Zoom session here. And then you could record, here's the link. And I always have the same link, like this one. I would just always make it a standing link. Then they log in. We have this conversation. We record it. I post it on YouTube. I post it in as a downloadable on my consolidated live courses. Now, when I build this course out, I have the home study course. And on that home study course, I have one set of the sample videos that we made when I taught it live. Now their home study course includes not just the text lessons, but it actually shows a live session recorded. Now, they get that for the home study course. They get to watch other people working. Oh, you want live coaching with me? Then you're going to get the home study course plus the hybrid, because if you want my time to coach you personally on what you did, then that's where you got to buy them. So if this was $497, I give them that one for $997, and now they get the weekly live office hours. But if you don't want
what you're uploading to YouTube though is a private channel. You're not just uploading that.
Correct.
Yeah, private channel, and then also you got to make sure you got all your permissions to go.
Right. And that's part of the
people.
part of the sign up is, look at guys. Yeah. Now, and this is what I tell them. Look, guys, I understand that you may not want to have your videos, your portion of that on the web. I got that. But that's going to cost you a premium so that it's just for you. But if you're willing to let me use our session for the benefit of others, then I can deeply discount it to you because that actually helps me help other people. But I respect, but if you want to not share that out, then what you're paying for is a private coaching session with me, and that's going to cost you more money. Because I can't leverage it. Now, here's the next thing. Once you do this, so now I have the home study course built. I have this, I have including the modules of all the previously recorded sessions. So these are all the text lessons and all that junk. Then they came and we did the live coaching, so we recorded that. Guess what all of these little things are? Each one of them is 30 to 60 minutes long. That's now a source of highlights. Hey, here's what I'm going to produce for you. Do you want a set of notes? Well, one-page summary of each one of these sessions with a timestamp and all the key things as a study guide. I'll give that to you. for $47.
Hmm.
If you order today at the
Hmm.
on the 30-minute free workshop, I'll give that to you if you sign up for the course. $47 value, I'll add it to you. But I can also sell that as an ebook on Amazon.
Mhm.
That is now a lead magnet
Hmm.
that points to this home study course. It will include pointer to your questionnaire and your 30 sessions. So wherever now in a particular coaching session, even if it's private, you're going to have some things that you say as the coach, and then they're going to say some things from their experience, and then you're going to comment on it with some clever insight. And so you just make that not generic, but you depersonalize it, and then you can just, and then this becomes your highlight. Hey, I had a client, and you protect their name. It said,
I like to write case studies because
I
when
had
you
a client
have
that had this
success,
problem.
I like to make a case study, like a blog post that's a case study, even if it's an aggregate. But I hear what you're saying. There may be some gems of wisdom in there.
Yeah, so you did a 30-minute session with them. You did a 30-minute session with them, and they had this problem. So you gave them some instruction. They had that kind of problem. You gave them some actionable advice and insights. And you just say, look, instead of, I'm going to protect your privacy, so I'm just going to you know what can summarize that really easily? AI. But I like to do it myself because I want to be personally responsible for exactly the exact language. So I just say, look, here's the setup. I had a client that had this, and now here's the live advice that I gave them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Done in one.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have now is a little ecosystem, and I think the lead magnets are that standard 15 questionnaire. Lead magnet number 2 is your questionnaire with your 30. This leads to the course 101 that I was going to take the lead on. 202 is your course that takes those 30. Now, what you'll probably end up doing is you'll probably start producing each one of those little 30 areas of expertise. If you have standard presentations and pitches, you just start building that out one lesson at a time.
Well, some of those are only lunch and learn, 40-minute, like 8 slides to be delivered over a corporate lunch and learn program.
Yeah. So here's what I would do on those is I would say, look, pick one of those as your freebie.
Yeah, I was going to say a lead magnet. Yeah.
Here and now that's a lead magnet for this whole thing. So your questionnaire, the questionnaire with what kind of 30, that's a lead magnet. It leads them to a session, which can be a lead magnet, which leads them to your course. So each one of those things are just different learning experiences. Some people from the questionnaire and the list of the 30 are ready to go and buy the course. Some of them want to attend to see what's it like to learn a free lesson with you. Okay, here's a free lesson. This is what one of those 30 lessons looks like. Pick one that's kind of entry level, that you feel like you're doing the world a service by providing that as a free lesson to the world. That's your tithe. So be a good person in the world. Give them some free chicken.
And that's also, like you said, an example of your coaching style and what you're doing and all that, to kind of getting to know you in those lunch and learns. Let them see this is what it's going to be like inside, type of thing. If you find some that are representative, of what you would be doing inside the course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's everything I wanted to say on that. I would scan that other document so you can kind of see what's going on inside there. It will also inevitably trigger some ideas in your head, because what I predict will happen. So let me plant that seed now, right?
Oh, you mean the document that you sent?
Yeah. The
Oh,
one
I'm
that,
gonna do more than scan it. Yeah, I'm gonna absorb
I'd study
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I think you're going to find, is, let me clean this up here.
Yeah, it's new material for me though.
Oh, it sure is. It sure
I
is.
didn't
That's
just,
why it
oh,
should
I
be
got
studied.
it, there's a lot there.
Yeah. So what I would say is, look, there's the document I gave you had, 3 personality profiles,
Mhm.
and then 5 measured areas. And the questionnaire says, how much anxiety do you have on each one of those? So that ends up giving you a report. And then it says, well, for each one of those, give me a strategy to address that. What can I do cognitively, emotionally, and practically? That's your complete adult learning cycle. My head, my heart, my hands.
Okay.
Well, that's what that course 101 is going to do. In your 202 course, you got 30 areas of expertise. So one of the things that you're going to be looking for is, how well do each of those 50, so there's 15 chunks. What's the crosswalk to your 30? Where is the alliance
Mhm.
and reinforcement?
Well, I'm gonna reorder those 30 and learn something about how to present that material, because a lot of that was just background for you and I,
Yeah.
to get to know each other, what I have to offer.
Yeah.
Um,
So
So-
what I think is, the AI has given us 3 sets. Trying to get the black on. Yeah, it's given us the 3 nice chunks of how to work with each one of these types of people. We know that a lot of people combine all 3 of those qualities. So it's going to give us 15 really well-structured experiential learning tasks, things to think about, things to feel, things to do. And it's going to give us encouragement. Those visualizations and the spirit animal and the power words and the advice. This is all just good emotional resilience to help us with all of the anxiety of learning as we go forward. This is just good, generic, be of good cheer. We're all in this together. So where we want to see now is, we want to see on your 30 how those things map to those 15. Because
okay,
we
I'll take a
create
look at
this.
that.
Yeah, because this is like, we're going to weld those 2 things together, or there's going to be a gateway. There's a gate through this fence. Here's how you get from here over to here. Here's how these things work together to make you, fully professional. Because
Hmm.
these things are about specific techniques to leverage. We've overcome the fears and anxieties and the basic skills. Now that we have those, how can we go to the next level with your 30 ideas in the 202 course? And then, as a senior leader, how can I use you as a coach to help me craft really advanced level stuff? And maybe, how can I use your expertise in a program of leader development at my business?
Or implementing change in their
Yeah,
business
for
that
sure.
they're facing right now.
For sure.
Um,
Because, what else I'm expert in is change management. And
Well, I've
sometimes,
had a lot of change managers that worked for me, so
Yep.
I'm not quite an expert, but yeah, I have. I mean,
So-
I've been a change agent for a long time.
so the public speaking thing is a generic leadership common skill. Now, if you also need expertise in how to do change management, so you have something to speak about, I have programs for how to do that. I've got 40 years of expertise in that area.
Nice.
Not to worry about that. But
Nice.
so what sort of in conclusion, as we're coming up on time here, I would just say, become familiar with that document and all the little pieces of content. Check and see how it aligns with your 30. Organize those into nice chunks.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Concentrate
I mean,
on
in my mind, I'm already
Yeah.
doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Concentrate on the lead magnet for your questionnaire and your 30 chunks. And then I'll work on the lead magnet stuff and getting this in Rizuku. I'm going to put a separate template in Rizuku so that we have one course that does the 101. And then we'll use your template, the one I've already built for you. That'll be the one that we use to build out the 202
Okay.
with the 30 pieces. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to be good to go.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Ken.
Yep. We'll get going on this.
Well, I'm going to look back through some of this too, because Ken, I've got, I don't know if I told you before, but yeah, I've got a quiz.
Yeah.
That comes with the quiz for the parents. Again, I started it with the kids and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to access that many kids. So I changed it around, but it's how they assess their kids' mental game. And then the report comes out by giving them, breaking it into 4 chunks, and they're 4 animals. Because I thought, if they're going to put these reports out, and that maybe I'm going to relate it to the kids, or if I do the kid quiz, maybe inside the course when they're in there, because I can't reach them by social media and email, things like that, that I will. Anyway, I thought that the 4 animals, so I know I've got a turtle and a tiger, and I don't remember the others. I need to go look at them. But it broke it down. I took
the joyful butterfly.
Yeah. I have to look. I hope so.
The rock steady elephant.
Yeah. And well, I was trying to narrow it down to 4,
Yeah.
Only
I think
4
that's
animals.
nice because now you have for each one of those, there's a certain treatment or protocol that's optimized for each one of those 4 animals. In the same way that there's strategies for each of the 3 public speaker types.
Yeah.
So your quiz is going to help the parents see their kids in a new way. And by using the metaphor of the animals, you're actually giving them a gift of saying, here is a new way to understand what your kids are going through. And that's going to lead to specialized treatments that I can help teach you and teach them and teach you. So
yeah, like a follow-up to the parent.
Yeah.
For specifically to the parent on that was how to handle like the situation they find their child in, like how to handle it on, on competition day. You and I have talked about that.
Yep.
So I'm going to give them kind of the do's and don'ts on competition day. And this can be generic. They can all be there together because like you said, the kids, they're not one or the other. They all have a blend of these, and they got an 8 in one area and a 2 in another, and they're 5 in the other 2.
Yeah. And they're going to have, like in the before, the during and after competition, like when they exhibit behaviors of animal 1. And so one of the things that you do is you show them, hey, if it was an elephant, when they have these kinds of behaviors, you can think of them like an elephant. And when they're to help the elephant with before, these are the things that you do. But if they're acting like a little nervous bunny, for some reason, they're in a bunny state of mind, then you can't use these elephant strategies. You got to use the bunny strategies. So here's your little flashcard with keywords and behaviors and things to look at. How much are they acting like bunnies? You give them bunny medicine. And if they're acting like elephants, you give them elephant medicine.
And I've got affirmations to go with stuff like that. Now that's
affirmations,
in my course for the kids,
visualizations.
but I could add it because I did want to do a card deck, and I thought it was like, well, how do I break out my card deck? But like I said, it breaks down each one of those elements has so many of things within them.
Yeah.
And then it produces a report. So they get a report. The next steps right now is leading to the sales page, but I like the idea of let me lead them because we've talked about this before. I've got my 30 tips. That could also be, now I could go, if I break down my 30 tips into to my little animals, that would be a lot more
Targeted.
a lot more targeted advice. And here's all these tips and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
they're
and I
going,
think
"Oh,
that's
yeah, what-"
that's what I really appreciated about the AI document, is because it was able to really be consistent about, here's the profile, here's 5 features, here's how you talk to them about it, here's how you deal with it cognitively, emotionally, and visually, here's some encouragements, here's a power animal, here's some generic gasoline for their gas tank, and here's how you go about doing it. So it was very consistent all the way through. That 4 animal model that you have is going to have that same kind of feature. Plus, you're showing them also, it's really different before, during, and after with kids in competition. You know?
Yeah, and you know
And-
that because you're
and-
coaching.
Yeah. And whereas with the professional and public speaking, it might even get to the point where Joy is saying, look at, if you are given most of your presentations in a small boardroom or in a large auditorium, or to stick, you may have different experiences in each of those wildly different settings that requires it. And that's where her 30 areas of expertise really helps the advanced expert to refine
Right,
their
yeah.
game. Whereas the 101 course is really, how do I get over my human fear of speaking in public, or getting over my imposter syndrome? How do I prove to myself? How do I build the confidence that I really am well prepared? And so that's a different fear than saying something wrong in public. The other one is sort of I don't even believe that I have the competency.
Yeah, and my kids go through the same
Yeah,
thing as you
for sure.
got the kids that are ready to throw up before they go up,
Yeah.
because that's a big arena.
Yeah.
That's different than performing in practice.
Yep.
They don't have that as much. So they're situational. I guess I was going to say, yeah,
Yeah.
her stuff is the same thing. It's situational, depending on if it's a boardroom or if it's in front of 300 people or 1,000 people.
Yep.
Totally different. And mine, usually I'm going to focus on, well, practice and competition is basically it. And they always perform better in practice and competition. It's like,
Yep, I'm with you there.
that's a no-brainer.
That's a thing. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I always, before wrestling, I always needed to throw up in order to be ready.
Wow.
Then I knew I was okay. I'm ready.
Yeah. So yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I got to deal with those, but let the parents know that that's okay. If that's what that kid needs,
That's the
then that
natural
may be. Now let's
biological
response. Let's work on this in my course. We're going to help work on this so they won't need to throw up anymore. That would
Right.
be their goal.
Yeah. What can
Of
I
course
do to replace that physiological readiness sign? My body thinks it's helping me by emptying my stomach so that I am light and full of energy,
Right.
and I have bad breath so it doesn't want to bite me. Right. So I need to substitute a different biological strategy.
Yeah,
So that's everything I got tonight. So that document is uploaded. I'll get this thing published and posted and put the link into the into Basecamp.
Yeah,
Cool.
because I do want to look at some of your prompts there
Yeah.
that I could go back to. I'm just doing, I've got a certification program tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, 18 hours, 9 hours a day
Oof.
to finalize my certification that I've been working on the same time as HCU or whatever it is.
Yep.
And
Wow.
then I'm going to get back to my lead magnet. It's going to lead to that. So that's what I said. I haven't worked on that quiz again, but I do want to do that. And your prompts are going to help trigger it better because it looks pretty good now, but I was having a little tough
Yeah.
time
Oh,
with
I
that
just think, that was
transition.
that was iteration 1 off the top of my head. And
Yeah.
and it already came in with the thing that is, I can confidently deliver that in the military college to the upper half of the year group. And I've already distributed that as a concept to the faculty and my brand new boss, who I haven't even met yet. That was actually my lead magnet
Okay.
to my brand new boss. He's a full colonel coming out of brigade command. in his 28th year of service. He's going to be a general officer. And
Okay,
I sent him my 1-page CV, my little mind map of who I am. I said, here's one of the projects I worked on today. This took 90 minutes, sir, to generate a course in confident communication that can be delivered to our officers and faculty in August because of my proficiency with AI, which we are just beginning to scratch the surface on. So we had a lot of powerful technology just waiting to be exploited. So it's not just a course on communications. It was also leverage for me to let him know that I am a tool that he can leverage and to leave me alone and let me do what I want because I'm going to help him.
right.
So when I tell him, hey, I need this time off, or I don't need to go to that meeting, I need to be speculating on this, that's what I'm doing. So leave me alone. And I'll keep you informed. I'll never put you in danger, and I'll never embarrass you in public. So
And like you said, you added at the bottom was also down the line where they can learn how to use AI to their own advantage.
that was the third point,
Yeah.
was because I also sent that to the dean of academics at the school, and I sent it to the 3-star general who is hosting the biannual Army University Learning Symposium that starts on Monday. I gave the virtual presentation on AI last week, and now all these guys are going to be in the building starting next week. And so that's what leverage looks like. That's my argument about artifacts. So don't get caught up too much. Is this a lead magnet by that definition? No, it's an artifact that gets linked together like tools. They're magnetic. It's a lead magnet. You start linking those magnets together and you start getting powerful linkages. And that's what you get: a drivetrain and a transmission gearbox. You got all these gears turning and turning, and that's where you can leverage power. So here we are.
Okay.
Good to
So
see you
great,
guys.
as usual.
Right on time.
Joy, you're gonna have to watch the first hour because he went through your whole plan. Well, the 101 plan, the first hour.
Yeah,
I
because I
thought
went
it
through
I thought I came on time.
well, we started at 5.
Central time, that's 6 Eastern
5
time.
Central, 6 Eastern. No worries.
So I should show up at 6 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
No
thank you,
worries.
Sue. Thank you, Sue, for mentioning that. I thought, well, they're already talking about my stuff, and I just got here.
Oh, that's why I
well,
asked in the email was like, you're gonna be there tonight. I should have said, are you gonna be there tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern?
Oh, I didn't see in any email from you. So
Anyway,
No.
but I got it recorded and it's available. So
Perfect.
that's
Thank
the
you
other
so
thing too. That's the other thing too. Always record. Always. It'll bring out the best in you. It will cut the crap because people don't want to be BSing on camera. So it adds a professional tone, and it can be record once, use many, and you'll be able to spit out smaller chunks to be lead magnets or smaller artifacts, whatever it needs to be, as we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all that stuff that Ken tells us, but also the stuff that we come up with ourselves. And it's like, oh, what did I say? That was good.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. And then you can actually download that file and cut your piece out. And now you have a video, raw material that you can use for your stuff. Now, that picture I have in the background is a dystopian landscape of a gloomy research facility, and the hour-long techno music that goes with it turns out to be massively inspirational for me for work.
Wow.
It appeals to the machine shop monkey in me.
Wow.
Going
Okay.
on the night shift, going in and doing work.
Interesting.
Anyway, there we are. Hey, I gotta run,
Okay.
get ready for my 8:30 and, maybe
Thank you
eat a little
guys
dinner.
so much. So
Yeah,
nice
thanks,
to see
Ken.
you.
We're
Hey,
gonna,
Mary Ann.
we're
glad you're
gonna
back.
crush this thing, and I just, I'm really excited about what we're doing. And, I wish the other HCU alumni, I think they could be doing the same things that we're doing. My goal is make things, get them into the world and start working. Every little thing that you produce is perfect just as it is. It is exactly what it is, and it's working for you 24/7 because it's an artifact and it has energy and enthusiasm and it reflects your spirit and your intention. And that thing is going to be out there working hard for you all the time. That's why we got to make artifacts, get them into the public space, and let that be the brand that we are relentless in the work that we do in service to others. So that's what we got to do.
Okay, great.
Take good care, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Out here.
Night.